So I've been playing this game quite a bit lately called Skyforge on my Xbox. It just recently came out for Xbox One in late November. It's already been out on PS4 for at least a year, I believe, and about 2 years on PC. So it's been around for a while, but it's fairly new to the Xbox scene. It's a free download that anybody can put onto their hard drive, but it follows a free-to-play system, so you can spend money on it for certain amenities like faster progression and acquiring certain items, particularly cosmetic items, a lot sooner than just by playing the game. Now, it's an MMORPG that is massively multiplayer online role-playing game. You jump into this world, you take on the role of a person. In this case, I am playing the person that's running around in the middle of the screen, obviously. And it is persistently online, and there's just lots of other players in the area with you. As you can see, there's a player here that I'm standing right next to. There's a player over here sitting on top of this big monster. There's another player standing over here in the middle of the road with several other people standing in the middle of the road. And these are people that, if you meet the certain criteria, you could group up with them, you could go out adventuring, you could slay monsters, you can actually duel them. You'll see them all over the place. You'll see them in town. They could be talking to locals, getting quests. They could be dueling other players. They could be just goofing off and dancing. They could be using the in-game chat messaging system and just chatting with each other. They could be out in the world, outside town areas, fighting monsters, all that other stuff. So, as I said, you can group up with them. You can get them into what's called a pantheon, which is the equivalent of guilds or clans in this game. You can get them to adventure with you. You could duel them. You could battle other players with them. Or if you really wanted to, you could just hang out, stand around, and let each other know how you really feel. So a pretty cool thing about Skyforge that kind of separates it from a lot of other MMOs, including several that I've played, is that you cannot create multiple characters, but you're also not restricted to a single combat class. A lot of other MMOs, including Neverwinter, which is also free for the Xbox One, you first create your character and you make them look how you want, you pick their race, blah blah blah, and then you pick their combat class. You either pick them as a close-range melee bruiser, or a long-range archer-style kind of person, or a magical offensive or defensive kind of character. That's not the case with Skyforge. You only get the one character, and it's attached to your account, so you cannot create more, but you can change your combat class on the fly, even during a mission, so long as you are not directly in combat with things attacking you right away. So I'll show you how to do that in a second, but before we get into that, most important thing that you want to do when you start playing this freaking game, press the start button or the menu button, whatever you want to call it. It's that damn button with the 3 fucking lines on it. You know what it is. Go to the style room and move your cursor all the way down to the companion option. Now you'll see your cursor is on the right hand side, and make sure the reactions are disabled. Trust me, it's really annoying when they're enabled because this guy does not shut up. He comments on everything, and it's in a really annoying voice, and he just says really pointless crap all the time. Whether you're in a fight, whether you're walking around in town and bumping into other players, whether you're doing nothing, he just randomly blurbs out annoying crap. So let's see if we can get him to trigger and say something.
Owner identification failed.
Yeah, that was just a brief blurb, but he usually goes on and on and on and on about other stuff. Like, you bump into other players and he talks about unknown enhancements or some crap like that. Trust me, it's extremely annoying. Turn that shit off and thank me later when you do it. If you haven't figured out how to do that yet, I feel so sorry for you. Hopefully that helped with the annoyance factor. So as mentioned previously, you can switch character classes on the fly, and to do so, you simply hit the menu or start button again, whatever the fuck you want to call it. I'm calling it the start button from now on. Hit the start button and go up. This gives you the long list of available classes in the game, and ones that you have already unlocked will be in a gold color as opposed to a simple gray color. When you first start the game, you only have 3 classes available, so simply select the class you wish to switch to, press the A button, wait a couple seconds, bam. Look at that. And if you were wearing class-specific garb, your outfit will change as well. If you're wearing certain custom outfits, then it doesn't matter which class you're playing as, you will still retain that same outfit. So it's really that easy to change classes, and you can do it pretty much whenever you want, even in the middle of a mission. So for each new player, when you first start playing this game, there's only 3 classes available to you. You have the support-oriented Lightbinder, you have the Paladin, which is supposed to be a tanky melee bruiser, and you have a ranged damage dealer with the Cryomancer. These are the only 3 classes available to you initially. You can unlock others with these things called Sparks of Transformation, which you unlock as you continue through the extremely lengthy tutorial missions. For the first time, you will get Sparks of Transformation in order to unlock more character classes as you continue to play the game. So I'm going to give a really brief overview on each of these 3 classes, starting with the Lightbinder. So I feel that the key to playing the Lightbinder, especially solo, is using your right bumper attacks accordingly. If you simply tap the button, you throw out a little bomb that will damage multiple enemies in a fairly decent radius, and you can take out large groups of really weak enemies fairly quickly. If you hold the right bumper, you shoot out a laser beam, which will hit a single target, but will also damage any other enemies caught in that line. So it's really good for doing lots of damage in a short time span, and it can hit multiple enemies if it is aimed correctly. Now the real trick to consistently putting out lots of damage with the Lightbinder is to what I just simply dub prime your right bumper attack. If you hit enemies with your right trigger basic attack enough times, there's a 10% chance that your next right bumper attack will be primed, or if you finish them off with an execution. So as you can see here, there's the right bumper icon on the right hand side. There's also the left trigger icon on the left hand side. I can execute this enemy with my left trigger attack. Not anymore, apparently. Let's try it on another one. There we go. Now we hit left trigger, and that will also bring up the icon on the right hand side of the screen. When that icon's up, your next right bumper attack will not consume any resource, which is the blue bar on the lower left, right underneath the red health bar. And it also does double damage. As you can see here, did nearly 40,000 damage, as opposed to the normal amount of damage that it would do if I cast it without it being primed like that. So let's use it on these next enemies. Right there, it only did about 13,000 damage. So it does a lot more damage when you use your right bumper ability after priming it with the symbol that shows up on the right-hand side of the screen. This isn't just the Lightbinder that gets this. All the characters have this kind of a thing happen. The Paladin gets it happen with a certain ability. The Cryomancer has it happen with a certain ability. When that prompt appears on the right-hand side of the screen, the next attack associated with that button will have some kind of bonus effect, usually dealing bonus damage. Of course, you can also apply this trick to the laser beam by holding down the right bumper. There's a boss up ahead, which I'll use it on. So I'm just going to prime my next right bumper attack by trying to wipe out a couple minions here. Let's get an execution off. Finish off that guy. Maybe I can just throw a bomb into this next group of characters here. Take them all out pretty quickly. There they all go. See if I can... No, maybe not. That's okay. Alright, so if I hit this guy with enough basic attacks, maybe I'll do it. There we go. Okay, so against a boss, when you want to use the laser beam, first hit the Y button. This gives you a small damage buff for a limited time. Then hold the right bumper. As you can see, the laser beam is doing significant damage over a short amount of time. We made pretty short work of that boss. To be fair, I'm playing on an adventure where the difficulty is quite a bit lower than my own personal character level. So this is kind of a bit of an easier adventure right now, but it still gets the point across. When you're playing solo, that's basically what you want to do to take down bosses relatively quickly when you are playing as the Lightbinder by yourself. Of course, those aren't the only abilities available to you as the Lightbinder character. Your B button will create a shield that will explode and do damage after it runs out from a certain time limit or from taking damage. And your X button essentially hits a single target for high damage, but it costs a fair bit of your resource in order to cast it. So let's go ahead and try using that against these guys. These Asswang. Okay, that sounds like something you accidentally caught on a drunken night with a random girl while you were vacationing out of town. But that's beside the point, I suppose. Of course, the absolute coolest thing about playing as a Lightbinder is having the ability to go Super Saiyan. Where is your god now? Now these little silver things that are floating right here in front of me. These are called Pokeballs. You use them to throw at wild Pokemans in order to add them to your team, where they will obey you unquestioningly and strengthen your character. Unfortunately, there's no Pokemans in this game to throw them at, so you basically just grab them and take the stuff inside because somebody was stupid enough to leave them lying around, so go ahead and steal their shit. Now, these Pokeballs can be green or yellow, as well as the plain old white and silver that you just saw there. Bottom line, be sure to pick them up. They'll have stuff inside or be quest-related to help you complete a current quest that you are working on. Now, when you're doing adventure-style missions and you're killing bosses, you'll find that they often drop, in fact, they pretty much always drop, a Poke Cube. Be sure to open this as well. This has stuff inside. There's no point trying to use it to catch Pokemans because it is extremely ineffective compared to the Pokeball, as seen in the previous clip. So open it up. It's always got some stuff inside for you. Everybody likes goodies. Wow, look at that form. With a backhand like that, she'd be really good at tennis. So next up we've got the Cryomancer. This character is pretty straightforward. You're just supposed to hang back and do lots of damage at range, as it is essentially a ranged damage dealing class. But where's the fun in that? You want to roleplay a little, so you simply walk around being a cold, heartless bastard and just ruining other people's fun. I love it. Everything is cold, just like my soul. I felt that the Cryomancer is actually quite straightforward. You just fling whatever abilities feel appropriate. Your right bumper is your single target high damage. Your X is your multiple targets for area damage. And against bosses, pretty simple too. Hold the right bumper, charge up an ice spear, throw it right in their dick, summon a blizzard, and then just pepper them with whatever other attacks you feel necessary until they fall over dead. You can even throw more ice spears at them if you wish. It does damage over time. That, combined with the blizzard, can help take them down pretty quickly. There you go.
The Verd know you are coming. Be careful.
Pretty simple. I'm sure it's fairly straightforward from there. You guys should be able to figure it out. Last up, we've got the Paladin. This is the melee class out of the 3 starting kits. It's meant to be a tank, so it's supposed to have high health and high defenses. It's one of the 2 classes in the game that fulfills that role. And being a melee class, it plays differently from the previous 2 in that its melee attacks have to be comboed together with both the X and Y button. If you use the Y button at certain times throughout the normal 4-hit combo, you'll execute different attacks, as you saw me use just a moment ago. This class only really has one long-ranged attack, and it's normally by holding the right bumper. It'll shoot a bolt of lightning at your target and hit other nearby targets as well. But there's also a really nice handy attack where you can press the right trigger and you charge your target, and it draws nearby enemies towards you and stuns them for a couple seconds. So really handy for you to pull them in and just start beating the crap out of them with whatever attacks you deem necessary. Now, personally, I'm not a huge fan of the Paladin class myself, but I will admit it is hands down the most badass looking of the 3 starter classes when you take it into combat. Anyways, I'm not really going to go into any more detail about the Paladin class. You pretty much just have to experiment with the combos and abilities on your own and figure out what they do. There are descriptions of what the abilities do in the Abilities tab. Simply hit the Start button, go to Abilities, and right there in the middle of the screen, you move your cursor over any of these options. If the box doesn't show up explaining it, press the X button to make it show the hint, and it will explain what it does. So I highly recommend doing that, not just for the Paladin, but for all the classes, in order to kind of get a feel for what each ability is meant to do. Anyways, moving on with some other hopefully helpful tidbits. This tells you in one of the loading screens what you can target yourself so that you don't accidentally hit certain allies or enemies with abilities that you don't mean to. Hold left trigger and press left bumper while holding down the left trigger. You will target yourself. That way, any abilities you use will automatically hit yourself and nobody else. This is also a great way for if you are in a town area and want to use your gestures to open up the gestures. You simply press up on the D-pad. This menu, this wheel menu, will be different if you are targeting somebody. It'll give you the option to investigate their character or invite them to your group or your pantheon as well. So if you're just trying to use your gestures and do important stuff such as flipping people off like so, simply target yourself and then open your gestures menu. It's a lot easier to do it. And don't forget to flip people off often, because that's how you make friends in the real world. I don't know if any of you people knew that, but pro tip, it works like a charm in Skyforge, let me tell you. So be sure to run around and just give people the finger for no reason. Seriously, the voice acting in this game is really bad sometimes.
Teacher, how can you say that? Innocent people are dying.
Yes, they are. But even more terrifying had been the feud before it. Then people were killed not by monsters, but by other people.
I'm sorry, I didn't know. But why? What could probably justify such unbelievable atrocity?
It's a long story. Those creatures are rather skilled in magic and extremely militant. If they get too involved, they may lose mortals' respect and faith, which are the source of divine power.
Don't be so mean! Look at the research center and the Divine Observatory! Aren't they glorious?
I think I've heard better voice acting in some Super Nintendo games before. Now before I forget, I would like to point something out. If you wish to look at a map of the specific place you are in right now, and this includes for the linear story-based missions, simply hold the back button and you'll bring up a local map. If you are in an open area such as Usuni Valley, which is where I am now, you'll see that it's a very wide space and it marks out the places where you can go complete certain quest lines with brightly colored lines, and the color of the lines indicates which quest line it is related to, and you can track those quest lines at the very bottom of the map. As you can see in the very bottom left, there's the Trouble in Lixie quest line. In the very bottom middle, there's the Elemental Threat quest line, and in the very bottom right, you can track your overall progress of all the quest lines in a percentage in that entire area. So in this case, I only have 7% of the quests in Usuni Valley complete. This is different in other areas. As you go through them more, that bar will fill up a lot more, and these zones that are marked out where you can complete certain quests will start to disappear. There'll be less and less of them on the map, and some of them are a little bit linear. There's some that don't pop up unless you complete a certain one before it, so make sure you run around and explore everywhere you can, do everything you can before trying to, if you are truly trying to 100% one of these open regions. And don't forget to look for shiny stuff on the ground. Pick them up and you get these rare crystallites. You can use those to buy certain cosmetic things. I know there's some costumes in the market which can only be bought with rare crystallites. So just a couple of quick heads up on those ones. The local map is obviously a lot more linear in the mission style environments, and it shows you only one path really, but it is still very handy to bring up and check out often, especially in these wide open regions. Another thing you're going to want to do, and you're going to want to do this daily, bring up the map, bring up the campaign map, hit the left bumper to go over to the capital section, and take a look at your cathedral every day, every time you log in. For the first little while when you just log in, Flavius will give you packages that have stuff in them, credits, knowledge enemies, sometimes argents, things like that. But after a while, it stops, so you need to check your cathedral every day. And every time you do that, you get some goodies. In this case, I got some followers, some credits, and some argents. It's not always going to be exactly that, but you always get some followers and credits just for taking a look at your cathedral every time you log in, every day. Be sure to do that. Sometimes you get knowledge of enemies as well, which you can spend in order to perform research at your Tower of Knowledge. Both of these will make your character more powerful. Getting more followers increases your might, and upgrading your Tower of Knowledge increases your might, which will simply make your character more powerful. Be sure to do this every day, every time you log in. Now, for those of you who are achievement sluts like myself, there is in fact an achievement in this game for creating a female character. And while you can change the appearance of your character later on in the game at any time, it does cost you Argents, which are the blue gems that you normally pay money to acquire, but you can acquire some every day if you log in. The Argents are the blue gems in the very bottom right of the screen when you open up your character menu, for example, when you're looking at your equipment or your loot bag. As you can see, I have 5450 now, so until recently I was unable to afford to change my character's appearance. However, shortly after starting the game, you are given a free voucher to visit the stylist and change your character's appearance one time for free. So if you actually want to play as a dude, but still want to try and get the achievement for playing as a chick, you can initially create your character as a chick and then use your free voucher to turn yourself into a dude. Just activate your ring of gender bending powers with the stylist and they will change you into a dude if you actually want to play as one. But you will still have gotten the achievement for creating a female character. So I highly recommend you do that if you have not started this game yet and do in fact want to play as a dude because you're not a freaking weirdo like myself. Actually, the first time that I was looking for the stylist, I had no idea where they were and got pretty lost. So the quickest way to find the stylist is if you're not already in the capital, simply hit the back button and press right bumper to go over to the Aeolian campaign tab and take yourself to Aelinar's Divine Observatory. That will take you into this big open room here where you usually see lots of players standing around. Turn around, use the shuttle terminal, and have it take you to Aelinar's Research Center. From there, when you are on the open platform after the loading screen, walk down into this entranceway, a little ways down the hallway, and you will see on the right-hand side, you will see Quinta, the stylist. Simply talk to her if you have your voucher still, or if you have enough Argents in your inventory to have your appearance changed. Anyways, I believe we've come to the conclusion, as by now this video has covered everything I aimed for it to go over, even the simple things for a new player who is just starting out that might not have any idea how to do certain things. You know, simple things like looking at the map. Keep in mind that I am by no means an expert at this game. In fact, I kind of suck at it, even though that's a little hard to do in an MMO. So if you have any questions, there are people out there far more knowledgeable than I am who would be better suited to answering them than I would be. As a matter of fact, I technically haven't even finished the really lengthy tutorial missions. As you can see here, I still have a few in one of the provinces left to complete here. Once you complete these, though, you get access to more content in the game. All of the character classes are available for purchasing. From with your Sparks of Transformation, you can unlock the Divine Form that way as well, so on and so forth. There's just a little bit more that opens up once you go through all these provinces, all these sections here, and just follow along the Golden Path and complete those missions. So stick with it. There's lots to do in this game, and as I said, there's more to do once you complete that lengthy section. So if you liked this video, if you found it educational or entertaining, just let me know in the comments below or give it a like. It really helps me out. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Mobius Y, and I will see you later. Alright, time to change my character's appearance once and for all, now that all this is done. Oh yeah, look at that magnificence. So much better.